Okay, so we are going to be talking today about booking parties, and this is going to be a 6-week training course that we're going to do. So every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, we're going to hop on Zoom and we'll have a training course on our Zoom training on one of the topics, and we're going to do this for 6 weeks, which will kind of get us up into convention. And so I figured we needed to start probably with booking parties. So we're going to go a lot through the party process, but we have to start with bookings. Until you get a party booked, there's really not much else to talk about. And so I do have some slides to kind of show you guys. It's not anything too exciting, but better than looking at my face the whole time. Okay, so I'm going to go into presentation mode and show you this. So we are going to be talking about booking parties. So hopefully everybody can see that and you can hear me. If not, sometimes you can try to close out and then come back in. So when we are through with this training, I am trying something new this time. We are going to go through, I actually have a training course made for each of you guys. And it's going to be, I'm going to actually get out of this now that I just opened that. It's going to be in a Google form. And it's going to take you basically section by section. So you will be able to spend more time and get all of this information in a format that you can refer to. So don't feel like you have to be frantically taking notes the whole time, basically. And so this training course is going to take you step by step through this. So the first thing is actually going to be a video from Tabitha Roach, and then some questions to answer about it, and then another video. And so when it has 10 different sections right now, and I might still add one more. My goal is to have this done by tomorrow so I can share it all with you then. But some of the things that I'm going to reference, you'll actually watch the video later when you do the actual training course. And I think the great thing about the training course is at any point in your business, if you're struggling with getting parties booked, you can refer to this link. If you have somebody that joins under you that is having trouble getting parties booked, you can refer them to this. And so this is kind of like a built-in resource for you to use as needed when it's needed. Okay, so when we start with booking parties, I am really bad about just jumping in and talking about how to get the parties booked. But Tabitha is really great. So Tabitha is our upline senior director, and she is amazing. Basically, 75% of Usborne is under Tabitha. She's been with the company for 20 years. She's phenomenal. And she is really good about getting into the nitty gritty of the why behind it. And so before we get into how to book the parties, I want to get into a little bit of the prep work. So first prep work that I want to talk about is just what is your why? I think until that we can really have a good handle of what our why is and what our belief about parties is, it's going to be really hard to get parties booked. And I'm actually going to stop the share and talk about this for a minute. This is pretty much what I do the whole time. I'll share my screen and then I stop sharing my screen. It's ADD over here. So can y'all see me? Hopefully y'all can see me. So I think it's really important to get our mindset on why we want to book parties, because it is going to be hard. You're going to hear no's. You're going to hear back from all kinds of people no, I don't want to do that. And it is hard hearing that no. And so we have to have our why. We have to have our focus. We have to have our motivation so that when we sit down and we start sending messages, we are excited about it and we have the right mindset. We are ready to bless people with the books. And so that's the first thing. There's a video from Tabitha Roach that kind of dives into this a little bit more. And she has 5 things to really get in the right mindset before we dive into the how to book parties. So I think it's going to be really important and valuable, because I know I am not good at this. And so I'm going to borrow her wisdom. So then the next video, the next prep work that we need to do is actually going through our Facebook list. And if you haven't yet, actually making a party notebook. So what a party notebook is basically you just get out a sheet of paper, you pull up your Facebook list, and you write down the names of everybody in your Facebook list that you think would host a party or would benefit from hosting a party. You know what? I might not show you these slides because they're pretty lame. I'm pretty much talking about them anyway, so y'all might just see my face the whole time. And so going through your Facebook list and really thinking outside the box. So I know we all went through our Facebook list when we did a launch party, right? And you probably got the typical people, your closest friends or people that you knew had kids, but we might have missed some people. We might not have dove quite as far into it as we could have. So maybe you forgot the teachers, you forgot grandparents, or you forgot maybe aunts that have nieces, or friends that might, you know, host a party for their friends. So what I would suggest and what Tina talks about is going back through your Facebook list and expanding kind of like your eyes and finding new people and writing them down on your party notebook. So that's the first thing she's going to talk about. And then the second thing she talks about is expanding your circle. When you feel like, okay, I've done that and I literally have no one else to ask, like I'm tapped out, how to expand your circle and truly find new people. So that's what Tina's going to talk about a little bit. So first we have the mindset. Then we have making your party notebook. And then the third kind of prep work that we have to do before actually diving in and getting parties booked is looking at your calendar. So if you are on my team, you probably have heard me say this time and time again, the importance of being intentional with your calendar. And I'm going to keep harping on this until, I mean, the day that, I'm never going to stop. I'm going to keep harping on this. I think it is so important being intentional with your calendar for a few reasons. So if you're like, what do you mean by that? Like maybe you haven't heard me say this, maybe you're brand new or on a different team page. And so what I mean by being intentional with your calendar is knowing the days that you want to have parties. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, sorry. So I actually pull out my calendar and I highlight the dates that I want to party. So throughout the year, it's typically every Thursday night, but there are going to be things that come up, particularly during the summertime. I don't know about y'all, but my summer is cray. Like I'm going on the UBM cruise to Alaska in like less than a month now. We're going to be gone for 10 days. I can't have parties on Thursday. Is that going to change my goals for May? No, I'm still going to have 8 parties, but I need to be more intentional with my calendar. I'm not going to be able to do it that week. I need to another week plan, 4 party days instead. And so that's a big thing, particularly going into summer. You have to be intentional with your calendar. I know for me, I want to hit HOC2 every single month. That's a non-negotiable for me in my business. That means that I need to have 8 parties. That means that I need to have 4 party dates because I double book. If you're not double booking, I highly recommend it. You are already doing the work. You are already sitting down at your computer. Double book your party nights. If you're sitting there going, no, that's way too overwhelming, I would actually argue that doing 2 parties a week on different days is actually more overwhelming because your brain is having to remember steps of 2 different parties, which is so hard. I still can't do that. Thinking, okay, this party I'm on, hostess coaching day 2. This party I'm on follow-up day 2. Like, it is so confusing. You are going to forget steps. Double book your party nights. Pick 1 party night, book 2 parties. So I think a big thing with being intentional with your calendar is that it becomes a non-negotiable. If I have highlighted on my calendar that I'm going to have 2 parties next Tuesday night, I'm a week out from those parties. I should be starting hostess coaching today. If I look at my calendar and I don't have 2 parties booked for next Tuesday, guess what? I'm messaging tonight until I get 2 parties booked for next Tuesday. It is a non-negotiable for me to have 8 parties every single month, which means when I'm a week out from my party date, it is a non-negotiable that I'm going to send messages until I book the parties. Like, it's just going to happen. And so I think that's a big thing with being intentional with your calendar. So if you're sitting there and you're going, I think I'm intentional with my calendar, but I'm not really sure. The biggest thing that I would look at is look at your calendar right now. Is there any dates open that you would want to book that you don't have booked, but you have parties further on down your calendar? That's a big red flag to me that you're not being intentional with your calendar. So say you have a party for May, 25th, but nothing until then. That's like big red sirens, right? We shouldn't have a party for May 25th when that's a month down the road, unless you're going to be out of town for the next month and you're like, quadruple booking that last week. And so that can kind of be a red flag that you can kind of check yourself and like, am I being super intentional with my calendar? Am I only booking my first available dates? So typically, when people aren't booking, aren't being intentional with your calendar, there's either 2 reasons why. One, you don't know the dates that you want to book. So when somebody books a party, you just ask, when would work for you, baby? And they're like, oh, May 25th. And you're like, okay, perfect. And you just write it down. So you don't even know what date you have available. That's the first thing. The second reason sometimes that I see, and probably the most often, is that we don't speak into the hesitations that people have. And so somebody tells me, I'm available May 25th for a party. And instead of speaking into the hesitation of why they don't want to book sooner, I'm just like, okay, that'll be fine. And usually that comes from a fear of losing our hostess. And I don't know if that's true for anybody out there. Maybe put in the chat if that's true for you. You're afraid of speaking in and trying to get to move them sooner because you don't want to completely lose them. And I have a video in that training course that kind of shows you the importance of booking your first available dates. If I get a booking and it's not until May 25th, I literally have nothing I can do with my business until then. I'm just sitting around twiddling my thumbs. If I book a party for, next Tuesday, by May 25th, when I get 2 parties booked from every party, that one party is going to have become, 10 to 12 parties by then. And so the only difference is that I'm booking that party for as soon as possible rather than waiting until May 25th. And so we're going to give some tips and tricks into how to speak into those hesitations that people have. Typically when somebody is like, I can't do a party until May 25th, it's either because they say they're too busy right now, which we're all busy, but luckily our job, their job as hostesses is so easy. They can do it regardless of how crazy life is. So one, it's not like, I'm just too busy. I can't do it till May 25th, which the only reason that somebody is too busy is if like they're having surgery, they're out of the country, or like currently in labor having a baby. If it's not one of those reasons, they can do it sooner. Another reason that people think that later is better is because they think that their party is going to be better if they do it at this date. So like right now, people would be like, end of school year is just crazy. Let's do it maybe beginning of June in summertime when people are less crazy. And so for that, we have to speak into that hesitation of why now their party would actually be better. Because if they do it now, people can actually be stocking up for summer. And if we wait until June, people are actually going to be more crazy. They're going to be, already on their vacations. They're going to have spent their money on their travel plans. And so now is really better because we can take advantage of that opportunity that we have now to get them books before they leave for travel. So that's some of the reasons that we see. Okay, so one last thing I would just say about about why being intentional with your party dates is so important. I've been with Usborne for 3.5 years now. I pretty much always had my parties on Thursday nights, not because I think it's the best party night, but just because it works best with my schedule. My husband works half days on Friday, so I get Friday afternoon that I can do my follow-ups. And so that's why I do my parties on Thursday night. But because I always do my parties on Thursday nights, I'm creating a system and a habit and pretty much a schedule for my family. My husband knows Thursday nights what I'm going to be doing. My kids know Thursday nights what I'm going to be doing. But also in my brain knows every single day of the week what I should be doing with my parties. There is not a chance that I'm going to forget a step because for 3 years it has been ingrained in my mind that Thursday I'm starting hostess coaching for my parties for next Thursday. By Sunday I'm setting up the parties. This is just so ingrained in my mind. So if you can start getting in a system with your party dates, it's going to become second nature to you and you're going to get quicker at it. You're not going to forget the steps. You're going to be more effective at the parties that you do. Okay. So that's a little bit of prep work as actually getting in the right mindset, making your party notebook, and then printing out a calendar and actually highlighting what dates am I going to party. Until you do those 3 things, we can't even move into how to get the parties booked, okay? So those are the first 3 things, doing the prep work. Okay, so now that you have the right mindset, you have your party notebook, you know who you're gonna ask, and you have your calendar plan, you know what dates you're gonna party. Now we can actually get into the nitty-gritty of asking people. And so if you are like, okay, Christy, tell me all your secrets. I don't really have that many secrets. I hate to break it to you. So first of all, I will just say that it is a numbers game, just like anything else. You have to ask, and you have to ask a lot, okay? And so first of all, it's just going through and actually asking. If you don't have any parties on your calendar right now, literally you have 0, start at square one. Pull out that party notebook that you made of all of the people on your Facebook friends list and start sending messages. Make it personal, use their names, use their kids' names if you know. We'll share some wording in the training course, Google form that I'll share with you. We'll share some wording that you can be using specifically for going into summertime. But it's really gonna take just sitting down and sending the messages and doing the work. We're not going to magically get parties booked from us, or magically get parties booked without doing any of the work. If you're sitting there and you're like, I have sent 200 messages and I have not got a single party booked. Okay, stop. Send a screenshot to your team leader because something's probably going on with your wording. But typically what we see is that every single time every 10 messages that I send, I have one person reply. Now that reply might be a no, that reply might be a yes, that reply might be maybe, but every 10 messages, I get one person to reply. And so, I mean, if you send it to 100 people, maybe 10 people will reply to you. Okay, so know that you are going to have to do this a lot. Like, you're going to have to message, you're going to have to do the work. What I have found, that if I concentrate just on the number of messages sent, and I set that high number for myself, that I'm less likely to be upset when I get an ignore. I'm less likely to be upset when I get a no, because I know that's going to be coming, and it's just part of it. Every no I get is one step closer to that yes. Every ignore that I get is one step closer to that yes. So I kind of make it like a game. I know that it's a numbers game, and I just have to do the work, and they'll cut, you know. So that's the first step. It's just going through your notebook. Second step, or second idea, would be doing some sort of like partying outside the box idea. And so some of the ones that are my favorites are mystery hostess party. Tabitha, which you'll see in her video, she recommends doing a party for your customers, for your VIP customers, for your friends, once every single month. So if you're like, Christy, I just did the bunnies, baskets, and books party. Hey, guess what? We're going into May. So now we can do like a sliding into summer party or surviving summertime party for your VIP customers and your friends. So you can go back through your friends list. A mystery hostess party, we have a training on that now that you can go back and reference, and the link is going to be in the Google form training course. But a mystery hostess party is basically where one of the customers get all of the hostess rewards. And so typically we like guarantee a certain amount of free books to be given. And so that's really appealing to people. If you're like, one person's going to win $50 in free books, that's super appealing. There are going to be some people that are more likely to come to that than to do a regular party. So that's one of them, a mystery hostess party. And the only two ways to be entered to win is to order or to host a party. So it's really fun. Another thing that I love to do is messaging people that might be expecting babies. So they might not be one that has bought a book yet, but you could bring up doing a baby shower party. And so their friends could come and they get all of the hostess rewards for their baby that's going to be coming. And so thinking kind of outside the box with different ideas, the party with a purpose ideas. Sometimes people will host parties where the rewards are given to a charity when they won't necessarily host a party where they're going to be keeping the rewards. Or they think they're more likely to ask their friends to come when it's not benefiting them. Sometimes people feel icky with hosting parties because like it benefits them. So if it's something that is to like a charity or to somebody else, sometimes they'll be more likely to host. Okay, so we have our notebook, we have our mystery hostess, we have our baby shower party, and then another one is doing follow-ups with people that you have already asked before, and that is actually Taylor and Charity IGC that you guys are asking this. So one thing that I love to do is doing follow-ups. If I've asked somebody to host before, I'm going to do a follow-up message. So I'm going to offer an incentive of some reason for why they should host. And so it could be using the actual hostess reward. So if you are in your first 12 weeks, you get to offer double hostess rewards. So tune me out for a second. If you are not in your first 12 weeks, the rewards that we get to offer are based on just the monthly rewards. So in May, the hostess rewards are like an additional $50 in free books once it hits a certain amount. And so you can use that when you send a message, and it's not even anything out of your pocket. I'm like, oh my goodness, look at these hostess rewards for May. You get an extra $50 in free bucks. And kind of offering that incentive. There's some other ideas that you can do. There's an image in the Google Form training course that you can pull up and use as well. Okay, so those are just some basic ideas. Now, when you have one party booked, that is when we can get into business. So if you were sitting here and you're like, I have a party for Thursday, awesome. You guys, that's all it takes. It takes one party to catapult your business. We have every single person in this business have hit a time in our business when we don't have any parties, or we only have one party. For me, it was the summer of 2017. I had literally 0 parties, and I sent a ton of messages, and I got one. I got one party, and the rest of my business has been off of this one party. Isn't that crazy? Literally, the following 2 years of my business catapulted off of one party. So if you have one party on your calendar, that is all it takes. Pour everything you have into that party. Ask your leader to be helping with the hostess coaching and the follow-ups and everything, and make sure that you get a party booked. Best case scenario is that we actually get 2 parties booked. Again, that's going to be in a training course, the difference in getting 1 party booked and getting 2 parties booked from every party. But start holding yourself accountable, is that a party isn't over until you get 1 party booked from that. I think that's something sometimes that we miss, is like we kind of move on from the party and we're like, oh darn, we didn't get any parties booked. No, Like the party, if you haven't got a party booked from that party, the party is not over. Go back and send more messages. Offer more incentive to those guests. If people haven't seen your messages, do a prize or something to where they have to message you. The party is not over until you get a party booked. Now, obviously, there are going to be some parties that just completely, the hostess doesn't show up, or nobody comes. There are going to be those slot parties, and that's really why we try to get 2 parties booked from every party, because we will occasionally have flop parties. Everybody does. We all have hostesses that no show. We all have hostesses that cancel, or whatever it is. That is going to happen, but I'm talking about the parties that hit 100 that actually happen. We should get a party booked from that. So if you're like, okay, but how do I get a party booked from these parties? Like, I'm doing all the things and I can't get parties booked. So there's a few ways that I try to get parties booked from parties. So one, obviously, you have to have a message going with your guests. If you do not have a message going with your guests, you are most likely not going to get any parties booked. I'm just going to be super honest. I do have a post, obviously, in my live party where I'm like, book a party, blah, blah, blah. How often do people actually book from that? Like never. So I think it's good. It's good to like get that idea out there in their head, but it's very, very rare that somebody is just like, yes, I'd love to host, sign me up, right? Like that doesn't typically happen. It comes from the private messages. And so ways to get private messages going. One is send a message to them. So I send a message to every single person, and we're actually going to be talking about this more next week or the week after, about actually establishing relationships, but touching on this really quickly, I send everybody a message at the beginning of the party. And then I also, once they start participating, I send them a book recommendation in private messenger, and then I reply to them on the page with my messenger link. And if this is like all gibberish to you, don't worry, more information will be coming. So I send them a message, but then I also encourage them to message me. So I encourage them to message me by replying with my messenger link, by playing a game and posting one at the live party where it's like, they have to message me. I usually do the how well do you know your hostess? They have to message me. You can play a game like the secret word game where they have to message you. So that's, 2 parts to this. You send them a message and then have them message you. Okay, so that's the first way. Pretty much the party page, the only purpose of the party page is to get messages going. I think we have to get that in our head. The party page itself is fun and it's exciting. But most people, a lot of people, I wouldn't say most, a lot of people don't even look at that party page. Guys, when I go to other Facebook parties, I don't have time to look at that party page, right? It's all about if that consultant sends me a message and helps me in a private message. I went to a Sell and Dot party a few weeks ago, and I literally was like, just send me recommendations and I will order them, but I do not have time to sit in on this party. And so think of the party page that way. If you, lately Facebook has been doing weird things where sometimes people can't comment on the event. It just won't let them comment. It's fine. It doesn't matter. The Facebook party is just for fun anyways, right? It is all about the message. So once I have that message established with them, I just start talking with them. I found out, are you familiar with the books? If they are familiar with the books, if they're an Usborne fanatic, I bring up hosting right then. Oh, yay, I'm so excited that you already love the books. Have you ever thought about hosting a party and getting some for free? Bringing it up right then. I'm bringing up hosting in an easy way. Sometimes I say, yes, I've already hosted before and I loved it. Awesome. When did you host that party? So I want to know, did they host last week? If so, obviously it's too soon. Did they host 2 years ago? Awesome. We can do it again, and so I keep the conversation going. I find out more about it. And then sometimes, they've never thought about it and I just planted a seed. They might not agree to host right then, but I've already planted the seed before the party even happens, right? So that's the first thing I do. I do it in. During the live party, obviously I have the post in the live party that talks about usually I do the finish the sentence for me. I would host an Usborne book party if, and so I can start hearing their hesitations. And we're going to talk about speaking into hesitations in a little bit, but if anybody who comments on that post, I'm going to private message them, right? Of course, I'm going to reply to them on the page, but I'm also going to send them a private message and take that conversation privately and talk to them about why they should host. Also on that post in the live party, I ask my hostess to comment right there and tell everybody how fast and easy it was. Hearing from the hostess, somebody that they know and somebody that they trust, that the party was so much fun and it was so easy and it only took them 5 minutes, people are more likely to do it when they hear a good experience from their friend that they know and that they trust. So then after the live party, anybody who attended live, I'm going to bring up a party. I'm going to tell them how fun they were and how they would be an awesome hostess and how I would love to treat them to new books, and see if they've thought about it. Okay, so that's directly after the live party. Acting on the excitement that they have is so important. I think that's one thing that some people miss is that, you know, the live party is so crazy and they're trying to like finish replying to comments and whatnot. And what they're missing is the private messages and acting on the excitement in the private messages. Replying on the page is great and fun and amazing, but private messages are so much better. Okay. Then when I'm doing follow-ups, okay, so my goal with follow-ups is I either want to get them to order or I want them to say, no, I can't order right now. And either one is great and fine. And in either situation, we're going to bring up hosting. The worst thing that we can have is just if somebody doesn't reply to us, because that's a person that's just drifting off into outer space. So I keep following up until I get an order or until I get a no. Okay, if they order, then I can bring up hosting. Like, yay, thank you so much. I just got your order in. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear what Joey thinks about his new books. Have you thought about hosting and getting the rest of your wishes for free? If they say, no, I can't order right now, that's when I bring up, I want to know why. Basically, I want them to say I don't have money. But sometimes you can say things like, oh, I'm so sorry that I couldn't find any books for you that you loved. Do you want me to recommend a few more? And then that's usually when they're like, no, I love the books. I just, money's tight right now, or my car broke down, or whatever it might be. And then I can bring up, oh, I totally understand that. Don't even worry. What about hosting and getting the ones that you love for free? And so that's an easy segue into hosting. And so either way, whether they order or whether they don't, we're going to bring up hosting. Okay, so then when we get to the very end of the party, when I'm trying to pick my winners, I am picking strategically. By this point of the party, when I'm on like day 3 follow-ups or day 4 follow-ups, when I pick my winners, most of the time, I have already asked every single person to host that have participated. At this point, we're only concentrating on those that have participated. And most of the time, I've already asked all of them. That's the first thing that you can be looking at to evaluate your parties and how you're doing on asking people is when you get to the end, look at those people that have participated. Have I asked every single one? So when I pick my winners, I can be more intentional with it. Is there anybody that hasn't accepted my message? They're an obvious winner. Is there anybody that I asked to host and maybe they ignored and they did say one way or the other? Those are the people that I stalk a little bit more. I look at their Facebook profile. Are they already in direct sales? I avoid, to be honest, I typically avoid people that are already in direct sales. Direct sales, they make for harder hostesses a lot of the times because in their companies, they host in different ways. Sometimes their friends will be pretty burnt out from replying to their messages. So if I can see on their wall that they sell for another direct sales company, I skip them a lot of the times. Also, I see if I can see their Facebook friends. If they have over 300 Facebook friends, we're good to go. If they have under 300, it's going to be a little bit harder. So those are things that I look at. I pick my prize winners strategically. If I post on the page, of course, if they don't message me, I message them, right? Did you see that you were a prize winner? Oh. And then I bring it up in that way. So being strategic with that. Remember, it is a numbers game. After your parties are over, go back and evaluate. How many people participated? Did I have messages with all of them? Did I ask every single one of them to host a party? And did I continue the conversation from there? If you ask them to host and they ignore, do you ever reply back? Do you ever say anything else? Or do you just leave it there? I think that's one of the biggest things that I see from some people is that they do the initial ask, but then they forget to come back to it and follow up on the conversation. So what if somebody says, no, I don't want to host right now? Do you keep going? And so the conversation, like think about if you were talking to somebody in real life and you were like, would you want to host a party? And they're like, no. Would you just not say anything? Would you just like turn around and walk away? Like, no, it would still be a conversation. And so make sure that even if you send a message and they don't say anything back, find a way to get them to re-engage with you, to get the conversation going again. So one of those ways is customer care after they receive their books, sending them messages, seeing how that they like their books. A lot of times if somebody is new to the books, until they see the books, they don't really understand how amazing they are. And so making sure that we're doing that customer care, that we're wrapping around, how are you liking your books? What has been a favorite in your house so far? If they say, all better is a favorite, awesome. I know a book that I can recommend now to them for free if they host. Yay, All Better is a favorite here too. I'm so excited that you love that one. Have you thought any more about hosting your own party? If we get a date set today, I'll go ahead and give you another book really similar to All Better for free. It's called Kisses, Cuddles, and Goodnight. I think it would be another favorite in your house. What do you think? I have next Tuesday open. Would that night work for you? Done, right? Easy, easy, easy. So using that customer care, re-engaging. And then the next part of this, which might be one that you most struggle with, is speaking into hesitations. You guys, people are going to have hesitations. They are. I had hesitations before I hosted a party. I bet you had hesitations before you hosted a party, right? Like, this is actually kind of scary. People are going to have hesitations. This comes back to having our mindset right, though. I 100% believe that hostesses for Usborne, I mean, they rack up the free books. Like, I fully 100% believe that every single person should be hosting a party. Like, they're dumb if they don't host. Like, I truly have that mindset. So when they come back with me with a hesitation, I feel 100% confident to speak into that hesitation because I realize that they're just misinformed. Like, I mean, honestly, it's what it is. Like, there's no other reason that they wouldn't want to host. But I can feel confident in that because I can honestly say that it took me a year to host my first Usborne party because I was scared and nobody spoke into that hesitation that I had. If somebody had spoken into my hesitation, I would have joined Usborne probably back in 2014 because I would have hosted before. And so have that mindset of like, oh my goodness, like, why would you not want to host? It is so fast. It is so easy. I do all of the work for you and you are going to rack up the free books. Like, have that mindset in your head so that when that hesitation comes to you, you are ready and confident. We are not bugging them. We are not pushing them. We are just informing them of how fast and easy hosting is. Keep in mind that a lot of people enter these parties with a lot of false ideas. Maybe they've hosted a party before and it went badly. Maybe they've done direct sales with a different company and been burned by it. Or maybe they have friends that do direct sales that they get completely annoyed by all of their posts on their Facebook walls or whatever it is. Like, they are coming into this with their own past experiences and concerns and whatever it is, okay? So speaking into hesitations is huge. A no most of the time is not really a no. And so we're going to have wording for you to speak into these based on the hesitation that they have. If somebody flat out just says no, I ask, like, do you mind me asking? Like, I understand completely how scary hosting can be, but is there one specific area that you're most hesitant about? Like, I just ask. And then I know, is it time? Is it that they don't want to bother their friends? Is it that they don't think that they have enough friends? What is it? And then we can speak into that. If after speaking into the hesitation, it's still a no, don't just ignore them, right? Like, engage, keep going with the conversation, like, be a person. So if somebody still says no after I've spoken to the hesitations, I might ask, like, totally understand and completely respect that. Would it be okay if I follow up again in another month or two and see if that's a better time for you? So that's the first thing that I could do, is basically just see, are they ever going to be interested in hosting? If they're interested in a month or two, maybe it's just not right now. So back to being intentional with your calendar. If you have spoken into all the hesitations and somebody is like, no, I flat out am not hosting right now, but maybe in a month or two, go ahead and get that date on your calendar right now. Most of the time, if somebody is like, yeah, I'll host sometime in June or July, get back with me. And then June or July comes and I message them, a lot of times I get ignored. If I get a date set now, so if somebody's like, June or July, message me, I'll host a party then. Awesome. You know what? I'm actually already booking into June and July just because my summer calendar is so crazy. So I'm really trying to be intentional with my dates. Why don't we go ahead and get a date set? And then about 7 days before the party, we'll really dive into it. What about June? And I try to always pick the soonest that I can. So, what about June 15th? Would that might work for you? So go ahead and get the date set. And then once the date is set, we have some tips and tricks on how to keep them excited until the party, but definitely get the date set, okay? If somebody is like, no, don't check with me later, I'm not going to host. Totally fine, completely understand. Would you have any interest in joining my VIP group? It's a really fun group. I give literacy tips, use giveaways. Would you like the invite to join that group? So I don't stop, even at a no, even at a hard no, even at a I'm never going to host for you. I still don't stop. Join my VIP group. It's so much fun, right? Make sure that you have this back and forth conversation going. And I will address this really quickly. I know that it is hard. You have all these parties going on. You read a message, you forget to reply to it. So this is one thing that I do with my messages, especially with my personal business, I do not open any of them until I am sitting down at my computer with my party notebook and my spiral and everything in front of me, because I have learned if I try to answer a message on the go, half the time I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to forget to write their names down. I'm going to forget about what I should be replying with next time. And by the next time I sit down on my computer, that person's way out of my head. And so I don't do a very good job of the customer care up. So I personally would rather them have to wait 4 or 5 hours to get a response to me and get a good response and get written down in whatever tracking system that I have so I know when to follow back up with them, than to get an immediate response right now, but then I forget to ever check in with them again. And so that's one thing that I would encourage you is don't feel like you have to reply to your customers every single time they send you a message. Let it sit until you're ready to be at your computer and to take good notes and to track them and do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're really keeping track of your customers and what direction that they should go in, and that you're never leaving any conversation just hanging with like a no. Okay, so I know that was so much information. Like I said, there is going to be an actual training course that you get to go through at your own pace. The training course has a lot of information in it. I'm just going to preface that right now. It has a lot of information in it. It is meant to be an actual like sit down and go through training though. It's not meant to be something you like do on the fly. And so it's going to be just page by page. You can go back and reference it and like finish it when you have time. It's going to be shared tomorrow. So don't feel like you have to like zip through it or whatever. I'm also going to have a document that has all of the information in this training course in one document so that you can easily reference it later on. Okay, so I know that was a lot of information. I'm going to go back and read the questions that were in the chat. If there were any questions that you guys know right now that you have, feel free to unmute yourself and tell us what your question is.
I have a question.
Okay, so Brittany, it looks like Brittany messaged me privately, but I'm just going to say it on here because I think it was to everybody. I've done my message link, but no one has sent me a message. So I have a party and I haven't got a party booked from it. So not sure what to do to get a booking from it. So a lot of times, if somebody has not sent me any message, or if I have a download that says like, I don't have messages going with anybody, we back up and we look at the party. Have you replied every single day when you do your follow-ups? Have you replied with your messenger link to a comment that they have made? On post 1 of the live party, when they say here, are you replying directly to every single person? Yay, I'm so glad that you're here. Send me a message with your answers really quick. Are you maybe even doing another game today? Like, you know, it's Tuesday. Yay, I know I need to pick me up today. So I'm doing a giveaway. Private message me with a number from, you know, 1 to 10. And the first person who guesses it gets a prize. You know, something like that. Do an additional prize where you're tagging everybody in it, where they have to message you their answers. There's several games that you can play. We are going to be getting more into how to establish messages and relationships, I think next week or the week after, I'm not quite sure. So we are going to be getting into more information from that. That was just kind of one piece of getting parties booked. So hang tight, maybe. I hate to say that, but what's the best way to approach Facebook friends for bookings when you've not been active with us for and are picking it back up again? Mystery hostess party. I've really found that most people, they book parties after attending a party. I personally don't have the best of luck just going through Facebook friends and like, hey, you want to host a party? Hey, you want to host a party? Because they haven't seen how the party runs. They're not excited. They haven't fallen in love with the books. Most people that do that, they might be doing it as a favor to me. They might be doing it because of a past party that they've attended. But I have the best luck when somebody attends a party and I get a party booked right then from it, when they have the excitement. And this is also the same with recruiting. There was actually a poll done where people tracked where they got their recruits from, and like 75% was within 24 hours of that party that they attended. And so I would say do a mystery hostess party. So that way, when you're going through your friends list, you're just asking people, would you like to come to a party? I'm giving away free bucks. They're a lot more likely to say yes to that than they are to just like, you want to host a party. And then when they're at the party, they're going to be excited. They're going to fall in love. And then we can bring up hosting once they're actually at the party. Julie, I tried hosting before and wasn't successful. What's an effective response for that one? So I think sometimes this comes with just having a conversation and building a relationship with them. For the most part, you know, I might say like, oh, I'm so sorry that it wasn't a success. I would love to give it another try again. I really love hosting parties, and I've really found a formula that works really well for me. Would you be willing to give it one more try? I'll even throw in an additional free book just for giving it a try, because I know it can be hard, you know, getting over that fear that sometimes we have. I have an opening next Tuesday. Would that might work for you? What is the best spacing for repeat hostesses? I try to do every 6 months, just because we have new books out then. And that's another category, Michelle, thank you, that I didn't even talk about, is repeat hostesses. Getting the party booked from that party for 6 months out. Just go ahead and get it scheduled on your calendar. Obviously, that doesn't do much to build your business, but it is something. And if you, you know, just have your repeat hostesses do 6 months out, it's a lot easier. I will say that with repeat hostesses, I have found that a lot of times their second party doesn't go as well if they can't get more comfortable with sending messages to people outside of their initial comfort zone. Because in their first party, they probably did like all the people, you know, that they're like fairly close with. I need them to really stretch for that second party. If they message those same people in like their inner circle, we've already tapped all of them out. You know, we really need to go to the next level and like dig deeper. So I prep them for that ahead of time of like, okay, so last time, you know, you were able to send 100. I really want you to try to get like a different 100, or maybe even more if you think some of them are overlapping, just because we've already tapped into this circle. To really get their party to be successful and to grow my business more, we have to get to new people, new contacts. What do you do when you message and send the message link and still get no response, or even that they looked on it? So a lot of times that's going to be just continuing to reply to them on the page and giving them a reason to message me. If I just reply to somebody and I'm like, hey, send me a message, here's my messenger link. Most of the time they're not going to. I have to give them a reason to message me, like, hey, I sent you some book recommendations that I think you're going to love. Send me a message, here's my messenger link. Facebook isn't letting it through, you know, whatever. That gives them a reason why they need to message me. Or in post one at the live party, when they say here, yay, send me a message with your guesses and be entered to win. I'm giving them a reason where they have to message me. They have to message me to be entered to win the game. It's not just like a replying with your messenger link. It's an intentional, like, you have to do this in order to win this. But again, we are going to be going more into messages, establishing relationships, because that's one of the most important things with a party. If you are doing a party and you are not getting messages established, that's going to affect everything. Not only is it going to affect getting parties booked, it's going to affect even getting sales in from that party. Like, I mean, you do a party to get sales, yes, but you do a party to get contacts that are going to become hostesses, that are going to become your VIP customers, that could then someday become your recruits. If you can't get the message going with them, you can't even start that line of customer, recruit, you know, whatever it is. So like, that's the first step, is like, we have to get our messages going with the people that are participating in the party. It's totally normal for about like half the participants to not ever participate at all in the party. That's normal. We don't worry about them. We worry about the half that do participate, that are commenting. Those are the ones that we have to get messages going with. Hostess coaching, I would send screenshots to your team leader. That gets all kinds of tricky, and there's a million different situations of things that we could have done differently, things that we could do differently now, things that we've missed. So hostess coaching is tricky. No, hostess coaching is for next week. Hostess coaching is so tricky because every hostess is different. So I'm going to try to do the training on that next week. But the best thing that I can tell you right now is to send screenshots to your team leader. Okay, that was fast and furious. I know that was a ton of information. Again, all of this information is going to be provided to you tomorrow in this Google Form training course thing that I have, and in a Google Doc that has it all kind of typed out, and this recording will be made available to you as well. So hopefully there was a few nuggets that you could take from this. And if you have any additional questions, probably reaching out to your immediate team leader is going to be the best way of going about it. Looking at screenshots, looking at messages that you're sending, how you're speaking into hesitations, how you're trying to get messages established is probably the best bet. But I appreciate you guys being here. I think it says so much about you guys that you are here working and trying to improve your business and how you do things. So I'm proud of you guys. Thank you for coming, and I hope it was helpful. You guys have a great Tuesday night.